keys, and you're doing it all. Now, I do, just in terms of performance-wise, I see that you are being careful, getting all the notes, and getting every dynamic. You know what? You have that now. Now that you have the notes and you've worked so well to technically get it where it is, now see if we can relax and have fun with the music, okay? Because after all, that's why we do it, you know, to share music, to share the composer's work. You know, I always tell my students that when we play music, you know, we don't want to be as if we're on a computer or a typewriter, you know, just typing away and pushing buttons and just playing notes. Behind every black dot on that page, the composer took time to write a little rest here, a little accent here. I think there needs to be always emotional value behind the notes. Otherwise, why are we here? You know, we could just put on a MIDI sound file and just listen to sound, you know. But music always conveys something, and always there's emotional value behind the notes. And so it's difficult, but to get past that, we need a certain sense of freedom, you know. And now that you are already there where you've got the notes down, it's just to bring that point up where you let the music speak to everyone, okay? So, good. So, I probably shouldn't have sat right there because your sound was going a different way. But from what I was hearing was that don't be afraid of the extreme differences in sounds and in creating different colors. You're doing it all. Just exaggerate what you're doing, okay? Because if you remember, you are the soloist, okay? And now when you play this with orchestra, how many other people are going to be playing with you? Oh yeah, I don't know, maybe 100 orchestra members, and all of them are playing at their, they're excited to play. And so as the piano soloist, you really have to kind of match that sound and even slightly more when you are the soloist, okay? And then of course when you're playing in a big hall of 2,000 seats, you want to always remember to play so that last person who even paid the $10 for that ticket at the very top, can hear you, okay? So it's a different type of playing when we do just solo playing. It's a different type of playing when you do chamber music, and then it's a different type of playing when you're a soloist with orchestra, okay? So the projection level will need to kind of shoot out even more. So do you feel like you're giving enough? No? Okay, well then that's good. At least you're aware that you can generally bring up the level in some cases. So especially in the parts where the composer writes for bigger fortes, I could have used a little bit more because Kathy, I could hear her kind of towering over you in some places, and I was like, now she's only one person. What's going to happen when you have 100 people on the stage? Okay? So, but very good. We obviously won't be able to cover the whole movement, but let's just make a few spots. Okay, can I just hear your very opening? Okay, good, wonderful. So it's written the dynamic pianissimo. It is, yeah. So again, we have to think about, well, we're going to be playing pianissimo with the orchestra, though. So maybe just we have to either project a little bit more, or we'll have a little bit more clarity, okay? And so this section is good. I like, let's see, what are the notes here? So it's making sure that you have that wrist action. Because if we just start relying only on the fingers, first of all, the brain, it starts to turn it into like kind of a riddle. And your fingers start not understanding where it needs to go, and then it starts becoming kind of a little bit of a mess. So as long as your brain is clear that you're starting left, right, that kind of, then it becomes one larger motion, rather than I have to fit 6 different, notes in, okay? So try that without pedal for now. Just feel the left, just try slowly. Sometimes they're going away from each other. So interesting, you know. So maybe making sure that they're both a little bit. So it is the left, right, but in combination with the fingers working. Okay, try that again. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a brain teaser. Do you feel? Let's just hear the right hand. Okay, good. And then the left hand is. Good. Now try the. Yes, it almost becomes a feeling that it's slightly off key in a way, and then because this beginning has to have that sound of excitement and brilliance, you know. And so if it's a little too long, I think we might miss that. But if it's a little bit off key, it has this kind of excitement bubbling, you know. So try that's the right idea, okay, once you start feeling this motion. Now, at the same time, be careful, we don't want to accent both sides too, okay? But this beginning section has to have that kind of clarity and brilliance. So yeah, you may want to lighten up. I mean, I know it does say pedal, yeah, but once in a while, just to maybe do little half changes or quarter changes on your foot so that you make sure that that clarity is still there. Okay, because the pedal needs to be there also for the ringing sensation. Okay, so that's one thing, and it's such an exciting introduction. You do wonderful blitzes here. Now, your legato touches, I think sometimes can be even more legato. Yeah, and one note has to relate to the next one, and there's a reason why it relates to the one before, and it all needs to be connected more like caramel. Sometimes I feel like you play one note and it kind of is just by itself, you know. But whereas it should be much more part of the pair. Okay. So good. Now this, you know, in this section you're playing alone, so be free. I mean, you know, don't suddenly go off and you know it's in a completely different time, you know. But you can have a little more freedom, you know. Ravel always likes to look back to his vast roots, you know. It's very sensual, romantic kind of. He loved it, and so you hear the Spanish influences, you know. And so this is one of those sections, you know. And so let's try this. Really try to go with that legato touch. which finger are you using? The middle finger. So naturally, if you look at the hand, it's the longest. So it's always going to stick out more and get to the key faster. Okay, so we're going to have to kind of, work around that. Yeah, so that's right. And when you're aware of that, then you can change the shape. Okay. So good. So work on that thing. And similar. This is a similar idea. Yeah. Can you try this right here? Yes, good, wonderful. This time you are singing your very good, very good. Okay, let's see. You're doing so many nice things here, really. All of this material in the fingers, I can tell quite clearly. Where was a section? Where is that? Oh, okay. So, yes, I know this is difficult, but you're doing well. Just as you get to the top, use more of your body and dig in. As pianists, we can't just use our fingers. It's just not enough, And then it's not enough just to use our arms. This is all the only weight we can. We have to use our shoulders and our backs to get into the keyboard, My teacher used to tell me, Sergei Babian, because, my teachers that I studied with, John Perry, Sergei Babian, if you know them, they're kind of larger. I mean, naturally, and they're heavier, and their hands are, more like sausages. It's very different. I mean, the truth is just how different, we're all built very differently. So I remember he would always say, Grace, you want to imagine that you're upside down, you're flipped over, and you get the body, that we have to use our full weight of our body, okay? And so in this kind of place, for instance, it's this point that you've reached, and it's so exciting. Here, the orchestra, is playing with you, and so here you've got to get some sound, because I saw the silent pianist at this point. I saw you moving, and I was like, I can't hear anything, So see if you can get your body into that. All right? Yeah, that's true. hard to hear up here, but you'll hear that in general, especially in this prelude, the bass is a little bit louder. Okay, so in the beginning, I shifted my ears to listen, try to listen to your right hand just a little bit more. Yes. 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 And that was my next comment, was that it was just slightly bit much. Because I heard almost like accents. So if you could just, I like the idea behind it. I like you bringing that out. If you can tone it down just a little bit. So that we hear that line instead of thinking, oh, an accent. Instead that we hear. Okay, can you try that? Nice, Jake. Okay, how did that feel? Was it okay? Good. And the same thing applies to the right, because our thumbs are so heavy by nature. Yeah, so we end up. But if we have that, I think it's enough. It'll definitely already be heard. Okay. Now, the same thing with the new right hand. Can you somehow make those tops even more sparkly somehow? Just a little more sparkly, because of all this that's happening here, it gets a little bit lost, those little tops. I think that's really nice. Okay, so that, because again, our thumb is so heavy. But now that you've shifted the thumb, I think it brings a nice ray of light. Like the sunlight today on Saddleback. Yeah. Give it a try now. Good, Jake. Now I hear your sparkle, but let's not forget about the dum. More the Okay, wonderful, Jake. You make adjustments very quickly. I like that. Good for you. Now, it seems like, what happens in this section here? A little bit. And the harmonies get a little bit, do they get happier or do they get darker? So what can you do to make a little bit more? I like what you're doing. That you're sparse. You're not using rhythms. I think let's keep that. And we have maybe more accents. Maybe just generally more. I don't know. Wonderful, Jake. Your fingers are so wonderfully clear and clean. Good. Now, when you start those, can you have this feeling that suddenly the whole audience, they put their ears to the piano? So then we get somewhere again, okay? Nice, good. Now the last your playing is quite short. Yeah. Maybe just slight little more kind of feeling. A little bit, yeah. I think it's something like that. I mean, I think if it's a little too short, it's kind of like very suddenly, a little surprising. Okay. Very nice, Jake. I like that a lot. Now, my goodness. I mean, really, I almost just don't want to mess with it because you're doing such a good job with it. Let's just hear the very opening. Okay, beautiful. I love the character that you have in your subject. Okay, now the only thing I might say for you to think about is generally in Bach, I think that the suspended notes, anytime you see a note that's a little longer, I play just a little bit more, almost like a baby accent on it, just because if you think about it, it has to hold through all these notes, and then this little note has to hold through 5 notes, and so a lot of times those notes get lost if you just play them normally, and there's all these other things going on when you hear it. But it's nice when you have, Can you try that? Yes. So it's even now. Very good. Okay. I think it helps in general throughout because that lovely counterpoint. It gets lost unless we play just a little bit more on those. And when you do that, you hear these sparks of light coming in. It's so nice. Well, I think that's I really just enjoy it. You put a smile on my face throughout. All right. Thank you.
to get this man to come and live with her under the water, really to make him die, but she's trying to seduce him anyway to add to their world of under the water where they live. But he says no, and she's sad, but she doesn't. So it's kind of a fun story with us, the poetry that it's based on.
Well, thank you for that. And I'm glad you were able to tell that, because a lot of times, I'll ask somebody, what is this music about? If there's something that the composer, and they won't know. And I'm like, well, how are you going to play the music if you don't know what the meaning behind it or what's behind it? And you know it, and I can hear that when you're playing. There's something very magical and fantastical about this piece, and you capture that color and that character. And I hear, and do you all hear the water in there? You create the water so beautifully. You get this effervescent color, which is so nice. And your opening is tremendous. I mean, yeah, but the color that you made, this opening is it's so scary. All pianists, they go to start this, and it's like your life is just going to end right before you, and they freeze and they can't even do it. But you just did it such a shimmery, beautiful color, beautiful. And he starts this off, and you think, oh, it's a major chord, it's a major happy chord, but then there's this minor feeling. So it's always this struggle between, oh, everything's fine, oh, but it's not, and it goes along with that story of that she wants, this mortal to come live with her, but it's impossible, So there's this feeling of impossibility in the music, and even technically, but she creates such a beautiful color. Now, as you go along, I know it gets, there's more things to add, right? And so, I think that, so then we start missing a few notes, just from silence, just the sheer silence. So I would think, in my opinion, that throughout the melody can come up just a little bit more. It's okay. I actually can hear it, but I would love for it to have even more of this piercing, and you create a wonderful. This is so shimmery what you do. And I think that her little voice, I don't know what it is. Maybe she's calling, from under the sea, but I think it can be a little, just a slight more present, and that will help later. That you don't feel like everything's so soft that you can't play. Can you try that? Go ahead. Okay, good. Be careful of the falling third. Sometimes it's missing. It's beautiful. It's like her sigh. Yeah, but sometimes her sigh, we can't even hear the end of it. She just yeah, so make sure we have that that nice result. We need that. Beautiful. And every time we have this little climb. Wonderful. And so you're getting in mind. Don't be afraid to get that. At least hear the link of the legato in there, which you're doing. Good. Let's try it. Is it just that? Yes. Because if we think mentally like, oh my goodness, we have to reach, yeah, it gets a little bit too, so how about add that stop? That's right. That's the right idea. Yes. That's right. That's right. That's right. So this is what down here is kind of that symbolism on the way up. Yes. So then now we have two motions. So one is going here. That's one going up and then yes. Okay. And then it just repeats. Okay. So if you think of it as two larger motions rather than so many notes, hopefully that'll help. Okay. I mean, that'll probably take a little time to get used to in the practice room, but try it. See if it helps a little bit. Okay. Now let me skip over to this part here. All right. Let's see. So I think you're skipping those two notes. No. Yeah. Let's do it slowly without pedal notes. Yes. Okay. Good. Now we have all the notes. Now can you play just what's the melodic material that we're not in here? Yeah, so we've heard that before. So somehow we've got to get that coming out of all of the stuff going on. So the way I practice something like that is usually will be whatever the notes are. So the melody holds longer and everything else plays staccato. Try that slowly. Okay, good. Now, okay, so we'll just do a short version of it. Good. Now, just because it's melody, it doesn't mean that we just bring it out, but without the color and the relation to the next note of the melody. So let's try that again and really think about how you want that melody to sound. Now, did you hear your right hand again? It went back to being a stiff octave. Try it one more time and be very aware of your right hand. That changed completely. Okay, now add your left hand for real. Let's try it. Now just actually before you start. So there's no accent indication right on the first note. Maybe yes. That was nice. That's fine. It's such a difficult part. I would just say if you can avoid any stopping before the next, but I know you're working toward that, so that we continue that one. Okay? Wonderful. Now this is such an exciting build, which you did very nicely. I think what would help you more is if we get a nice color from that pinky in the base. Even more. Boom. Okay, we want to hear that descent as the right hand is ascending. This is one of those parts where the dancers are going this way. Okay, let's try it. Okay, good. And this section is one of those I probably do. Continue to do a lot of hands separate, just so that you have that comfortability, Practice it like it's an A2. Every day when you go to the piano, the first thing you play is like an A2. Yeah? And then the same thing with the left hand. So you just have that full comfortability, Because I think you know, how long have you been working on this? 2 years? Okay. Yeah, and you put it away, you bring it back, you put it away, bring it back. And, but a section like this just needs to have that effortlessness, So, yes, good. Okay, good. So I could use even more bass in there, all right? Good. Okay, wonderful. Oh, I really enjoy your voices. Yeah, it's just see the water. This section right here, here you just go ahead and break it. Okay, good. Yeah, that's okay. This section, it just sounds like that sea goddess or whoever she's not happy. So it sounds like the cackling of a witch or something, that she's not happy, he's not coming in, and so this is her kind of lashing out. Good. Now, generally we have the similar arpeggio, yes. Yeah, so it shouldn't be, again, that same idea of one motion. Can you try this one slowly without the pedal? Okay, so at least that whole route going up is the same arpeggio, yeah? So, yes. So, when I'm watching you do your arpeggios, I notice you're kind of hanging on, and especially at the turn, don't be afraid to let go. Yeah, because right now, a little bit cheerful, but probably because you're trying to create that fortissimo. But I think the fortissimo will come out even more if you just not right at the downs, otherwise we're going to hear it each time. Let's try. Okay, that's the right ideal. You'll work on that, yeah? Because right now I still hear a little, you're on the C sharp, yeah? All right, bravo, good job. actually, if the left hand is not effortless and all there, it almost sounds like something is not quite perfect, you know? And people focus so much on getting the right hand that the left hand, I noticed that whatever accompaniment material is just, it's difficult. It has to be there. A lot of times there's these big leaps and all of that. You're doing wonderfully. We'll go over a few of the things. In general, I feel like sometimes you can have longer lines, and you like to enjoy and stop and smell the flowers here and then pick up a coffee here. But I think that if you just continue and go over the long line, you can enjoy it even more at the end of that. Okay? But really, you put in a lot of work into this. I can hear it all of the details done. Let's just hear a little bit of the beginning. Good. All right. Now, there's a tendency for me to miss the this it's almost like a reach. This part has to be so so we don't want to miss any note at all. And don't feel like it has to go by too fast. Then we can have this. Okay, good. Now, let's really, I'm missing like the crux of those chords on the right hand. Yes, let's hear all the inner notes. Yes, that's be a glissando. And then not too much pedal, otherwise it'll. A little pedal's okay, but that we have that control. Yeah. So this is one of those cases where I'm talking about the left-handed is pretty nasty, you know. So we gotta break it out and again practice it like you need to. I would just spend, you know, however long you have, several hours just sitting there. This is difficult. It's easy to make this wobbly. Yeah. So it's that feeling again of left, right, left, right, left, right, straight, yeah. So I would do slowly first. And then as you get comfortable with it. You can sing with it. Otherwise, sometimes you're like, oh, okay, I'm just practicing left hand, you know, and it doesn't make sense. But or you can pretend to play your right hand. Whatever those notes are, yeah. So let's hear just your left hand. Yes, and then so you really listen to that and the control and how maybe we change color depending on what the melody is doing. So now add a pretend sided right hand into there. Okay, fine. That's not bad. You notice you lose a little control because our senses go to doing, we're multitaskers here. So practice lots of left hand alone so that you just get so comfortable with it. just want to do everything together. But really try to, especially in show, break out the left hand and practice like it's the most important part, special. And you'll notice how it actually makes everything even easier in the right hand. Okay. All right, very nice. Oh, yes. Now, just this one. Can you try your first? What is the first one? Yes, this is such a beautiful part, and you're playing it beautiful. I would not be afraid to even, I know it says so dramatic, but even just because it's so different from what happened, you just did all this, and then this, but the harmonies in there are so I don't know, play around with the voicing, and it's so warm, you know. I don't know, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe the second time you want something, I don't know, just to hear the different, the voicing. So play that chord and then you hear it. Oh, that's just, yes. And then feel how that first chord transforms into the second and connects like through caramel, like stretching into it. That's nice. Yeah. So it's all interrelated. No chord is separate or on its own. There's always a reason why it's going